We are pleased to present the International Hydrodiplomacy, Building and Strengthening Regional Institutions for Water Conflict Prevention, pre-conference study commissioned and led by the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung with support from the Stimson Center. Himalayan Water Governance, Reimagining Institutions, Science, and Transboundary Cooperation by Nilanjan Ghosh and Deepak Gyawali. Knowledge gaps and institutional shortcomings. The above arguments are symptomatic of the fact that water management in South Asia, both on a national as well as regional level, suffers from gaps in scientific understandings as well as appropriate institutional frameworks for collaborative action. Traditional reductionist engineering paradigms, a legacy of colonial times, have dominated the institutional governance mechanisms of most of the Himalayan rivers. This paradigm ignores the broader ecosystem functions and services embedded in them, as well as the varied social solidarities that bring in different knowledges to bear on the problem. Knowledge and information gaps, together with the failure to provide appropriate frameworks, can be summarized as follows. Gaps in eco-hydrological knowledge on water systems. The extensive ecosystem services offered by the flow regimes, provisioning services like water for agriculture, urban uses, fisheries, etc., supporting services like soil formation and supporting downstream delta ecosystem, and a host of cultural and regulating services, and the impacts of changes of flow regimes due to infrastructure on such services are either unknown or unacknowledged due to poor understanding of the eco-hydrological processes of South Asian rivers and inadequate adoption of better holistic systems science. Knowledge gaps in flood management. High-flow inundations during monsoons are natural with significant ecosystem services offered by them. For example, soil formation, enhancing soil fertility. Policy failures allowing infrastructure development and heavy settlement growth in floodplains lead to increased flood damage costs. Knowledge gaps in the relation between water and food security. Although food security is equated with water availability, the nexus nature of water, energy, and food is not acknowledged institutionally, and agencies continue to work in silos. Further, given present interventions in the forms of better water use efficiency through crop diversification, soil and water management, food security is no more a function of water availability. Lack of detailed hydrological data in public domain. Sensitive flow data have not been made available in the public domain, especially by India. This restricts the practice of good science and international scientific collaboration, which could contribute to better understanding of the associated sciences to bridge the knowledge gaps. The uncertain impacts of climate change. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, third assessment report has indicated increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather and water-related events in the future. The base flows of most of the Himalayan rivers, scale of droughts and floods, as well as their timings will be uncertain. Climate uncertainty compounds the socioeconomic problems of hydropower projects in the Himalayas, where rent-seeking, corruption, and poor planning have rendered such projects unviable. Knowledge gaps of social dimensions of water systems use and local governance. The local and indigenous knowledge of water management was lost under the mayhem of colonial engineering that looked at water as an narrowly viewed economic resource to serve colonial profit-making ends. Some of these irrigation and water conservation systems are over millennia old and have stood the test of time, but unfortunately are not a part of modern engineering studies. The multidisciplinary approach needed in water governance, which is now being globally recognized, is still missing in South Asia. Unfortunately, hydrocracy or water technocracy in South Asia does not engage with social and environmental activists at the outset while defining projects, or if it does at all, only at a much later confrontational stage. Institutional challenges and opportunities. A reductionist colonial engineering approach to rivers and water resources is exhibited in the short-sighted visions of existing water governance institutions. For example, the 1996 Ganges Water Sharing Treaty has resulted in drying up of the Sundarbans Delta. Even in the Indus Basin within Pakistan, upstream interventions have been causing stream flow depletion for the delta regions. Such phenomena are prevalent, mainly due to government agencies' institutional blind spots, misuse of pumping technology, and destruction of traditional recharge ponds. Most government departments around water, including in international development agencies, are plagued by silo thinking of primarily civil engineering construction, despite the fact that water governance is a transdisciplinary subject that needs a nexus approach. Such reductionism emerging from the civil engineering perspective of water management ends up being a win-lose proposition due to its inherent ignorance of the impacts of water governance on the broader social, ecological system. Water governance perspectives must be set against a wider backdrop of multifaceted water resources development across various disciplines, hydrological cycles, precipitation, river, groundwater, etc., and the sectors agriculture, fisheries, energy, transport, industry, household, and the natural ecosystem. This would enable basin-scale collaborations and trade-off deals with multiple stakeholders at various levels, especially on the following aspects. Understanding the common meteorology, namely the summer monsoon, winter westerlies, and the jet stream. Creating a common knowledge base on the impacts of climate change. Understanding water energy footprints in our economic products. A collaborative understanding of floods and droughts. Creating common database by promoting data democratization. Creating a holistic evaluation framework for water infrastructure projects where narrow economic cost-benefit analysis of structural engineering interventions is replaced by a transdisciplinary framework of ecological economics, social sciences, engineering sciences, hydrological sciences, and other physical sciences to encompass the related concerns of social justice and ecological health, along with economic progress. Treating river basin as the unit of governance instead of adopting a fragmented approach of project-based water agreements and treaties. Creating interdisciplinary research groups through transboundary collaborative efforts. Unfortunately, South Asia's official water management institutions are not designed for transdisciplinary thinking. This is true for most institutions like the Central Water Commission, CWC, in India, or the Water and Energy Commission in Nepal. Even concerns of environmental flows have been reduced by the technocracy to a percentage of the total flows rather than being perceived through a holistic negotiated approach, a phenomenon often described as arithmetic hydrology that reduces every aspect of water governance into metrics of volumetric measurement only. One avenue that has opened up in transboundary collaboration over Blue River waters is the Government of India's passage of National Waterway Act 2016 that deems making 111 watercourses of India navigable, including the Himalaya Ganga. This, if properly promoted, has the potential for introducing nexus approach and possibilities in transboundary collaboration with both upstream Nepal and downstream Bangladesh. Institutional reform and possible EU engagement. While South Asian technocracy has relied on the engineering knowledge introduced by Europe, it is across much of the EU that over the past 20 to 25 years, at least 5,000 small dams, weirs, and culverts have been removed from rivers in France, Sweden, Finland, Spain, and the United Kingdom. The EU should bring in these examples of knowledge to South Asia to save the region's rivers, advancing the course of peaceful hydropolitics. The EU may also bring in their expertise for cleaning the Rhine and Danube and making them navigable, as that is an opportunity with India's passage of the National Waterway Act 2016. The EU needs to work with the governments of the basin at the very outset for capacity building in the domains of holistic water governance. Here, the European Union can intervene as a third party, like the World Bank in this case, and facilitate more constructive engagement between contending social solidarities such as hydrocracies, market players, and activists. The existing South Asian institutions have failed to promote better transboundary water governance. The South Asia Association for Regional Cooperation, SARC, fails to address some of these critical concerns as its very charter unequivocally states that controversial issues, that is, water resources, security, etc., will not be brought up. The same is true of other such sub-regional bodies. Nevertheless, within the SARC framework, there are several chartered SARC institutions such as the Energy Center in Islamabad, the Disaster Center in New Delhi, and others which could serve as platforms for Track 1.5 dialogues on regional water issues. There remains the possibility of engaging with the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multisectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC, as a regional bloc where Ganges and Brahmaputra fall in the fold. The BIMSTEC, though an evolving institution, possesses less hostile geopolitical relations between its members as compared to the SARC, thereby creating better opportunities for cooperation. This perhaps might be where EU policymakers could possibly engage with appropriate parts of the relevant organization's Water Framework Directive regarding transboundary collaboration. Such third-party interventions can be initiated through the creation of collaborative incentives, which can be achieved by directly buying data from the riparian nations and placing them in a public forum. Further measures could involve providing complementary investments for transboundary water infrastructure, which incorporates the downstream and ecosystem concerns, and supports the creation of transboundary river basin organizations through additional funding. At CUS MDPD, we design and implement multi-stakeholder dialogues, focusing on the nexus of democracy and governance, peace and security, and climate and energy. Join our LinkedIn community, tag us in your tweets, and add us on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Visit our website for our latest publications.